that'll be a big test for them, considering the way that track is. But another team that I'm super impressed by, and they've made some changes recently and they've had some investment, Williams, your team. Albon, even Sargent this weekend, and you mentioned it to me in the chat, mate, and I honestly wasn't looking that far down because McLaren was so much further up the field, but Albon's been driving the wheels off that thing all year, but Sargent seems to be slowly getting up to his pace, and this car is consistently getting into Q3 now. Mate, if you had said to me at the end of last year that Williams are going to be fighting for Q3 every race, I would have laughed at you. Like, what a turnaround for them as well.
I think for Williams, it has been such a measured and intelligent way of slowly making gains. But a thing that they keep harping on about is they're making gains without hampering the advantages that this car has, because they know they've got this slippery, fast car, and yeah, they're trying to make gains on it. But the last thing they want to do is put, sort of redesign the car, that the one thing that it does well sort of gets lost, especially sort of for the battle that they're in as well. Like they're the best position they're going to finish now is 7th. And I think, like, even 2 weeks ago, if you said they can finish 7th, I would have thought, well, I can't see them getting more than 10 points this year. Haas is on 11. That will be sort of a long shot. And bang, they're on 11 points as we speak. So, like, I think as a team, Albon's doing the heavy lifting, which is what he's there for. James Vowles has really built the team sort of camaraderie out of nothing. Like, this is all him. And like, at the moment, there is no pressure on Logan to do anything other than learn. But I think come the end of the year, I think he will contribute some points to this points total as well, because he's, like, as a team, that as one goes, the other goes. Like, he's never sort of had a race where it was sort of like Lando and Danny Rick, or like when a teammate is really good,
Max and Checo,
or like or I would say like Alonso and Stroll kind of races, where one can be on the podium and the other one isn't scoring points. Like, he usually is a couple steps behind Albon, but they're both sort of tracking in the same direction. And this week he got the upgrade package. Like, I think last race he got the proper upgrade package. But like, as a team, they're just doing the little things. And like, as I'm not trying to be biased, I think they are undebatably the better of the bottom 4 teams at the moment. Like, they're the 100%. Only team. They're the only team I think that, and this is still track specific. Like, I don't think it's going to really work at Hungary next race, but like at tracks like Monza and Spa, where top speed is paramount. I think they are like the only team of those bottom 4 that can say, we have a few tracks where we can target points off nothing, like, without really waiting for a calamity from someone else. Like, we have the pace to get points, like steal a couple points at these races, where I think all the other teams in the bottom 4 are sort of like, we can score points, but we need a lot of things to fall out, or we need things to fall our way. And I think that's due to the fact that that car has got one very specific strength, and a driver who's like Albon is he's driving it, and he's putting it in positions where he's like, all right, I'm risking everything for this race for a couple of points. Like, he even said after the race yesterday, when he overtook Carlos, he said, I was racing it so hard that I knew that if he came around that corner with me, we were probably going to crash. And I was hoping that he wouldn't follow me around the corner, which he didn't. So, like, as a team, massive sort of change in fortunes.
Well, they're up to 7th in the constructors. And looking at the constructors table, those 4 teams are at the start of the season were unquestionably the bottom four. Maybe you could have probably thrown McLaren into that mix the way the car started out, but out of those four now, Haas, look, they qualify really well, but their tires go off really quickly, so they move backwards, rapidly in a race. But out of those four teams, Williams are the only ones that are constantly pushing for that Q3. Alfa Romeo is absolutely nowhere at the moment, and Alpha Tauri is the same. So for them to go from what is the last 5 years coming 10th in the constructors
I think there was 1 year they came ninth when Mick Schumacher and Mazepin were at
Haas.
Haas. But other than that, yeah, it's been bottom of the rungs for a couple of years, that's for sure.
And that's I know it's still only seventh, but that's a significant jump if they finish in seventh place from 10th.
That's a massive jump, and it's more than like it's a massive jump, but it's also a massive. It's a lot more money for a team that definitely needs it.
Yeah.
But I think as a team now they have the belief to sort of chase that as well. Like they've definitely got a direction. They've got sort of drivers who can, like, I didn't know what to make of Logan Sargent this year. I wanted to see what he was like sort of made of. But the last couple races, I know he hasn't scored any points. But he, like, even yesterday, he wasn't just, when Latifi was there and he sort of would exist, but he was never making time on anyone. He was sort of always coming last of the cars that finished. Yeah. That's not the case anymore. No. Like, Logan's progressing. He's definitely beating a lot of the cars around him that you would expect to be. Like, he's making moves and he's finishing ahead of those cars. I think realistically, it's going to be sort of, when the car is on for points, he'll probably be at the top end of that back 10.